I stand here in my cruelly given white privilege to say that you don't have to be Palestinian to stand with the Palestinian people.
That was the actor Susan Sarandon at a massive rally in support of Palestinian rights and the people of Gaza held in New York last
Thursday. You do not have to be Palestinian to understand that the slaughter of almost 5,000 children is unacceptable and a war crime.
Earlier in the week, a journalist attending the daily State Department press conference raised questions about war crimes and U.S. complicity. This was journalist Sam Husseini speaking with Vedant Patel, the principal deputy spokesperson for the Department of State.
President Lula of Brazil recently joined a growing list of world leaders condemning Israel, not just simply for war crimes, not just simply for crimes against humanity, but for genocide. The late president of the Center for Constitutional Rights, Michael Ratner, during Israel's 2014 assault on Gaza, which killed 2,000 Palestinians, advocated that the Genocide Convention be invoked in that case against Israel, saying that legally, for genocide, quote, you don't need to kill all of them. You just need to have the mental intent to kill part of them. Craig Mokhiber, who just resigned as director of the New York office of the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, noted that intent, usually the hardest part of genocide to prove, isn't in this case. He wrote in his resignation letter, quote, explicit statements of intent by leaders in the Israeli government and military leave no room for doubt or debate. Finally, Francis Boyle, who successfully represented Bosnia and Herzegovina in their genocide case against Yugoslavia before the International Court of Justice, has similarly argued that the Palestinians or any other signer to the Genocide Convention should immediately initiate a emergency legal process invoking the convention at the International Court of Justice. Yet no government has done so. My question to you is, has the U.S. government pressured or bribed or threatened in any way, shape, or form Abbas, the people around him, institutions around him, from invoking this or any other legal mechanisms against Israel to stop its attack?
I don't even know where to start there, Sam. No, the U.S. has not been involved in pressuring or anything like that to any officials within the Palestinian Authority. What I will just say again, in the context of this conflict, we have been incredibly clear that as Israel defends itself and defends its security, that it is imperative that it continues to make a distinction between Hamas terrorists and Palestinian civilians, and that's something we'll continue to raise directly with Israeli counterparts. I will also note that we, within the U.S. government, have a rigorous process for evaluating whether something constitutes genocide, and we have not made that assessment in this case. And it's really important to remember that Hamas bears responsibility for sparking this war, and they brought this tragic war to Gaza. They have compounded and perpetuated the suffering of the Palestinian people at every step of this crisis. And as I said, we continue to support Israel's right to defend itself against these terrorist attacks by Hamas.
You claim that you want Israel to make the distinction, but you don't seem to be making the distinction. If I might, I didn't interrupt you. The Center for Constitutional Rights just put out a statement. Legal organizations put members of Congress on notice for complicity on genocide. Quote, please take note, this is a letter that they sent to members of Congress, Center for Constitutional Rights. Please take notice that should you vote in favor of that package, the Biden package for Israel, you risk facing criminal and civil liabilities for aiding and abetting genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity under international law, and may face investigation and prosecution. Do members of the State Department face similar possibility?
Again, Sam, as I said, we have the U.S. government has a rigorous process in place for evaluating whether something constitutes genocide, and we have not made that assessment in this case.
But you continue to pretend that the bombing of hospital after hospital, bakery after bakery, university after university, and somehow you keep pretending that, oh, they're just after military people.
I appreciate your question, Sam. I've taken 2 of them. Now I'm going to work the room a little bit.
It may be that the U.S. government doesn't want to talk about genocide or war crimes. Nevertheless, it's being talked about around the world and even here within the United States. This past Sunday, the opening session of the Merchants of Death War Crimes Tribunal was held via Zoom with more than 500 participants. The tribunal is trying a case to hold U.S. weapons manufacturers accountable for war crimes and crimes against humanity. The opening session focused on Israel's aerial bombardment against the people of Gaza, which it termed an historically monumental atrocity that could not happen without the aircraft, missiles, and bombs produced by 3 of the 4 defendants that are on trial before the tribunal: Lockheed Martin, Boeing, and Raytheon. Today we bring you some clips from the tribunal's opening session.
Welcome to the opening session of the Merchants of Death War Crimes Tribunal. My name is Brad Wolf. I am one of the coordinators of this tribunal. I am the executive director of Peace Action Network of Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I am also a lawyer and a former prosecutor. For the past 2 years, Kathy Kelly, Nick Modern, and myself, along with a team of investigators, writers, film editors, and lawyers, have been gathering evidence to prove the guilt of 4 United States weapons manufacturers for aiding and abetting in the commission of crimes against humanity and war crimes, as defined by the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court. The 4 defendants are Boeing, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, now known as RTX, and the drone maker, General Atomics. These 4 weapons manufacturers are representative of the entire U.S. war industry. Last Wednesday, November 8th, 6 of us were arrested outside Raytheon Technologies in Arlington, Virginia. It was during a peaceful protest calling on Raytheon once again to respond to our allegations. We were charged with a first-degree misdemeanor of trespass, arraigned, and ordered to appear for trial. We urge all of you to consider nonviolent action as an effective method of ending militarism and endless war. In every community, there is a weapons maker. In every community, a merchant of death. The information we are presenting is meant to inform and to motivate. Some of the areas this tribunal will examine are Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Somalia, Yemen, and Gaza. We will provide evidence on the complicity of lobbyists, think tanks, and the media. The first video segment of the tribunal is about the repeated aerial bombardments of Gaza.
Sunday's opening session included this presentation from Christian Sorensen, who's a researcher and author focused on the U.S. war industry. He's the author of the book, Understanding the War Industry.
It's important to put this into context of these corporations, because these corporations are pressuring Congress, they're pressuring the military, they are developing, marketing, and selling all manner of goods and services that then harm these civilians.
The Merchants of Death War Crimes Tribunal will be releasing evidence on a weekly basis through this coming March, and we will be covering it as it continues. For KPFK, I'm Don DeBar.